Hello dear friends, let us discuss with ASP.NET and we are concerning with the HTML form elements that will be helpful for development of web application. We have seen some of the HTML form elements in our last session, but now we see the radio button control which can be used in the particularly HTML file, and this radio button which will be used to select one option from multiple options. It is used for selection of gender, quiz questions, etc. This is very important control where we can use only one option from the multiple options. For example, you can say male and female. This is the example we have given in the lower side. If we use one name for all the radio buttons, only one radio button can be selected at a time. So this is also very important. There are many options in radio buttons. We can select only one radio button or only one button at a time. Using these radio buttons for multiple options, we can use and we can choose a single option at a time. This is the example of our radio button example. Let us see this particularly form which will display the gender. The label is a gender, see, and this is the caption gender which is displayed here. The input type is equal to, in double quotation, radio. Radio which is given as ID is a gender and name is also gender. The value is a male. The value is a particularly male which can be used at the dynamic site development or dynamic programming. But the caption is a male and that is displayed here. Another input is also given, input control or input element is given. Another input element contains the female value and the female caption is here. See here, this is the female caption and that will be displayed as a radio button. So we can choose only one of the element from this control, as we can select only the male or only the female in these options. Now next is a checkbox control. The checkbox control is used to check multiple options from the given checkboxes. So there we can use the multiple options. That is very important. Multiple options we can use and we can select. In our radio button control, there we can use only one option, but here in checkbox control we can check multiple options from the given checkboxes. Let us see the example and the particularly source code for the any form. Only form is developed here. The form is named as a hobby and that is given as a form element. Now the input, there are three inputs. Input controls are given, that is the form element, and it has a type of checkbox. In our last control, that is the option button, that is only option is given here in type. So three checkboxes are given here, and in these checkboxes the particularly label is given as a cricket and then football and then hockey. But these all, that is the red colored attributes are given here and the value of attribute is given inside the double quotation. The type, the ID, the name and the value are the attributes of input control, and these particularly cricket, football and hockey, which is actually label which is displayed on the particularly control. Now that form will consist of three options. That hobby has only three options. We can select any two of options or any three of options or any one option. Also, we cannot select any option from these all options. So that is very important that these all are given in the label. See here the label which is given every time the input type and also the label is given. So the label is displayed on the form. Now this is the output of this checkbox control. Now next is a submit button. So submit button controls, that is the particularly used to add the submit button on the web page. So normally this will be included in the input button. So that will be very useful and very nearby with the input control. When the user clicks on submit button, then the form gets submit to the server. This is very important that whatever the data which is inputted in the text boxes given, so that those information that will be submitted to the server. Okay, so this is the input particularly control, and that input has a type submit. The type is the attribute of input and the value is also attribute of this input. The submit and the value submit, the type submit and the value submit, both are the values of attributes type and values respectively. The type is equal to submit, which will specify that it is a submit button. So that type will specify that this button is a submit button. The value attribute can be anything which we write on the button on the web page. Now this is the example of our submit button control. We have given two labels, that is label 1 and label 2 here. That label which will consist of enter label and enter password are the caption, and for is the label attribute. The for is given as a name. First label is name and second label is a password, that is pass. The next control is the input, and that is given here, which will consist of three different attributes. First is a type is equal to text, id is equal to name, and name is equal to name, which is given in double quotation. So that is the value of each attribute of the input control. Next, another input is also given here, and at the last, the third input, which is very important for the submit button, that is the submit button. This will give the submit button on the form. The value of that submit button is given here. So this is very important, that is submit is the value of this submit control button. Now next is a HTML field set. The HTML field set element, this is very important and also helpful, which is used to group the related information of a form, and this is element which is used with the legend element. This will provide the caption for the grouped elements. So what is this field set element? This field set element is a group of related information that will be collectively taken on the form, and that collective information will be taken for the purpose of any user. For example, in this example, which is specified to the next further, that is the form which is displayed and the field set that is given. The field set is given The field set actually consists of the legend, and that legend is a particularly the caption which is displayed in the form. So that a particularly, just you can say it is a image of that particular legend. And next is a label. One, two labels are given, that is enter name and enter password. Enter name and enter password are two different labels. The next is a input, which is having three attributes, that is type text, id is equal to name, and name is equal to name. These three attributes are also very important for input type control. The two input type controls are given. Second input type is a password. The type is a password that we have to specify, that is we are inputting the password of our user, and id is a pass and a name is equal to also a pass. Now at the last, the submit button is given here, and the submit button will submit that information of any user, which is name and password, and that will be the end of our field set. The field set will consist of only two information of name and password. The next is a HTML option tag. The option tag, this is used to define the options in the drop-down list with the select or data list elements. See here, the option tag which is used to define in a drop-down list. This is very important. The drop-down list must have at least one option element. Any drop-down list may contain the multiple elements, but we have to select only one element. Now, the related option of a drop-down list can be grouped using opt group element, which will help to understand a large list. So this is the option syntax which is given in the highlighted, that is option value is in double quotation, then there will be some information in between, and then that will be end option. Now this is the example which will consider the option tag. The body of HTML file is given here, that will contain the h2 example of option tag, that is the header 2, which is displayed as a bigger size of the text. The form has a select control, and this select control is having end select at the last. So in this middle of that, the option are given. So you can give the option, that is select your favorite color. Select your favorite color, that will be option one of the option. What are these different colors? That we have specified the number of colors. For example, we have specified the option value is equal to yellow, is equal to white, is equal to black, is equal to green, and is equal to red. The option has a attribute value, and the value is given inside the double quotation. What is the style of that? The color which is specified colon violet, that will be displayed as a violet in the example output. The blue color colon blue, that is also displayed at the our output. The third color, which is a black, that is also displayed in our output. The fourth color is displayed as a green, and that is specified with the style color colon green, which is specified in double quotation, and semicolon is given. At the last, color colon red is given, and red color is displayed in the our output. All these information that has a caption violet, black, blue, black, green, and red. Okay, so that is the option tag. Next tag is a HTML opt group tag. What is that opt group tag? That is HTML opt group tag is used to group related options in a drop down list within the select element. We have already seen in our previous slide that using opt group tag, select makes any easier to access the drop down list, especially if the list has the large number of options. The option label is equal to, in double quotation, we can give the label whatever, and we can specify the group of elements. Let us see at the left hand side the example of this opt group. H2 is a header 2 and that is given with the end H2, that is example of opt group tag. Next is a label which is having the select your favorite brand. We have just displayed upper side of our drop down list. Now the select tag is given, and in the select tag and select tag there are two different opt group. The first opt group is given here with the laptop manufacturer, which is ended here, and it has four different values, that is Dell, HP, Lenovo and Acer. These all values are given in option tag, and the caption is a Dell, HP, Lenovo and Acer. That will be ended with end option. Now this is a one slot which is displayed as a group, and another opt group is also given with the mobile manufacturers. Now mobile manufacturers has a different four options, and those options are given with the option tag. The value is specified, that is Apple, Nokia, Samsung and Coolpad. Those are the values, and the captions are given which will be displayed on the form, that is Apple, Nokia, Samsung and Coolpad. So that will be ended with the end opt group. So those two are two groups. This is first group and this is second group. See, this is all the groups are getting displayed here on the right hand side where we have displayed the form. Now the Dell is displayed here. You can select any your favorite brand. Next and very important is a HTML button tag. We have already seen the submit button. Like this, the button tag is used to create the clickable button within the HTML form on your web page. And you can put the content like text or image within the button end button tag. So you should always specify the type attribute of for a button tag, so the different browsers use the different default type and the button element. HTML button tag can be used inside and outside the form. Now if we use it inside the form, it will be work as a submit button. You can also use it as a reset button. Like this, submit and reset are used inside the form. And also you can use this HTML button tag outside the form, so that you can call the JavaScript function on it. So this is the syntax of next is the syntax of our button tag. So button is equal to name button. So this is the attribute name, that is name of this attribute is a button. This is the button tag, and type is equal to also a button, and this is the caption of our button. This will be ended with the end button. The end button is specified with the end, that is a slash. Now the output of this will be displayed like this, that is the click here, which is specified here in the button tag, opening tag and closing tag. At the side of opening tag and closing side, there is a end button. So in between of that, click here is displayed and that will be shown in on the button. Now this particularly the square which is rounded on the click here, that is the particularly button. Okay, so what is the example of this HTML button? Let us see the submit button example. Submit form. You can see this is the highlighted form is given and enter name which will be given as the input type. So enter name is a particularly the text which will be displayed on your screen or in your browser. It is not a label, but it is directly displayed on the browser, and the text is given and the name is given, and button is given as a submit button. So this is a simple button which don't have any attributes, and the output of this is displayed here, that is enter name, and you can enter name here in the text area which is displayed as a text, and the submit button is given at the last. So that is a very important example of HTML button. Let us see the attributes of HTML button tag. The button tag supports all the different global attributes, and some specific additional attributes are also listed here. The attributes may have the different things, that is autofocus, which will specify a button should be automatically get focus while the loading of the page. Then disabled, thus it will specify the button should be disabled. The next is a form. This will specify one or more forms that the button will belongs to. Then form action, it is used to submit, it is used for submit type, and it specifies where the send button from the data when form is submitted. Then form method, it will specify how to send a form data. Then form encourage type, that is the form data should be encoded before sending it to server. Then form no validation, so we cannot give the validation, so the data should not be validated on the submission. The form target is given here as an attribute, that it will specify where to display the response after submitting the button. Now these three are very useful attributes, that is the name, type and value. The name specifies the name of the button, type specifies the type of the button, and value specifies the particularly value of the button. Okay, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay home, stay healthy. Thank you.